It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Tuesday, September the 10th. Good morning. Ha! Aaron Rodgers lost. Sorry, it made me happy last night. What are you going to say?
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I love the man's talent. I just like seeing him lose. Call me crazy. I don't care who he plays for. What, you a fan?
No, you said call me crazy. I just said you're crazy.
Rodgers
That's my
lover.
pat response to that.
All right. Okay, fair enough.
I like getting high. We
well.
have that in common with Aaron Rodgers.
Wow. Well, it's funny because in honor of him actually completing a football game, we're all on ayahuasca this morning. So this is going to be a hell of a show. Let's get right to the top 5 at 6. Here we go. Oktoberfest is cooking up all over the world right now. Of course, in Germany, that's more of a September thing. Around the States, it's more of an October thing. The Wall Street Journal has picked Shell's Oktoberfest lager as the nation's best, one of the best to celebrate Oktoberfest with. Isn't that nice? People at the Wall Street Journal just banging down some Shell's Oktoberfest. New Ulm, of course, Minnesota, America's second oldest family-owned brewery. Hey, man, nice shout-out from the Wall Street Journal.
Nice, and the Marty family. We've hung with them. I've had a few beers with the Marty family over the years, and of course they're bought the Grain Belt brand and all that. And Bachfest, you want looking for a great winter party? Bachfest. You get out there in the winter, right down there in New Ulm, brave the elements. Prost.
Very, very nice. So if I'm just curious, does this mean if you drink Shell's Oktoberfest lager, you're a little bit more apt to come up with a good stock tip? Because when I see the Wall Street Journal, I just think, come on. I know what beer I like. Give me a stock tip for crying out loud. Number 4 on your top 5 at 6. This coming from the Mayo Clinic, right over there in Rochester. There is a potentially debilitating condition that a lot of us need to be aware of, especially those of us in radio. It's called gluteal amnesia or dead butt syndrome. Or as my dad would have called it, dead ass. Get your dead ass off that couch. The gluteus maximus, one of the strongest muscles in your body. If you're sitting around all day, it can get a little stiff, and it can truly lead to what they call gluteal amnesia. The muscles in your ass become so weak from inactivity, they seem to forget how to function. We're all getting older. I get it, but if my ass ever forgets how to function, don't tell me how to get over it. I'm just going to throw in the towel.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And there might be something to it. Of course, we sit on our asses for a living. And just the other day, I walked up behind Tony Lee and gave him a nice smack on the ass. No reaction, nothing, just dead.
Well, Tony's either got, dead butt syndrome, or he's just a glutton for punishment, and he's just hoping you'll do more and more and more. I don't know. Tony?
I will.
The more hits, the more it's sparked back into itself.
Number 3 on your top 5 at 6, the band Heart has rescheduled their North American tour dates. Earlier this year, they had a big tour, first one in 7 or 8 years at least. They pulled the tour. Ann Wilson undergoing some cancer treatments. She's back on the mend, feeling good. They have announced shows to kick up next year in 25. They will not be a date. There's not going to be a makeup date for the Grand Casino Hickley, unfortunately. So far, nothing in this area. The closest I'm seeing are Winnipeg and Milwaukee. We'll let you know, but I'm glad Ann Wilson's doing well. I'm glad Hart's back on the road, but come on. Come to Minnesota, for crying out loud.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I think it was supposed to be an offshoot of that Def Leppard Journey big, huge tour. Yeah. And since, that one did come through, I think we're skipping the Hinckley show. But, Winnipeg's only 8 hours away, and weed's legal in Canada last time I checked.
And good walleye fishing.
In March, it might be kind of tough.
In 1990, spent a month on the road with Hart, with my former band, the Black Crowes. Our first gig of that tour was in Winnipeg, and we walked on stage, and their entire audience stared at us as if we were, statue. They looked at us like we were on fire. Like, what's wrong with those boys? Why are they doing that? Why are they here?
A little too rowdy for Canada?
I want to hear heart, not this nonsense. That's just about all I remember about Winnipeg.
By the way, Ryder, walleye fishing March, 8 hours north. Oh, you'll still have good ice up there.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. I'm in.
That's
Heart
a date.
And walleye, let's go.
Heart and walleye. Number 2, last year, you probably remember that PWHL Minnesota, that was the Professional Women's Hockey League local team. They won the title last year in the initial season, the inaugural season, I should say. There are 6 teams in this league, and now all 6 teams have nicknames. The Minnesota, instead of PWHL Minnesota, which really does roll right off the tongue, they're now going to be called the Minnesota Frost. The Minnesota Frost. And the press release says, Frost embodies the state of hockey's deep-rooted love for the ice. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's better than some of the other names that they came up with.
The Boston Fleet.
Yeah.
Fleet.
The Montreal Victoire. I guess that's victory. The New York Sirens. Really? The Ottawa Charge. And the Toronto Scepters.
I think we won the name game.
We did win the name game. I wouldn't have thought that. I mean, Frost is fine, but I wouldn't have thought it was just a banger. But apparently, it is exactly that. On the text line, 651-989-ROCK, already heard from Lisa from Isanti, who said, by the way, looking for George Thurgood. I hope you enjoyed that, Lisa. We heard George Thurgood a moment ago. Isanti in the house this morning. Good morning to Lisa and everybody else in Isanti.
Knife camp.
Sorry?
Knife camp? Isn't that what it means in Dakota, Native American language? I don't know. Someone told me that once. I pulled that out of my dead ass syndrome, so I could be wrong on that. But somebody told me that once over some beers. Knife camp. But I might want to Google that.
I'd rather not Google it. I'll just plan on remembering that and assuming it's real. That's how I like to roll. Number 1 on your top 5 at 6. Sad news for everybody. James Earl Jones died yesterday. What do you say about James Earl Jones? Obviously, the voice of Darth Vader. When I see the man, when I hear that voice, my first thought is, it's baseball, Ray. The Field of Dreams performance, which is still one of the weirdest movies that ever made me cry, but it did. James Earl Jones, just the voice of God. A man born with such a severe stutter that into his early teens, he barely spoke. It's amazing to think that voice was hardly ever heard because of such a severe stutter. James Earl Jones was 93, I believe. What a run, what a life. Before he was famous, my man had been he was in the Army, he served in the Korean War, came back, suddenly he's on Broadway, and then the rest was history. Rest easy, James Earl Jones.
Yeah, his greatest role, Thulsa Doom. And you guys know Conan the Barbarian, Arnold Schwarzenegger, 1982. Are you kidding me, man? He nailed that. Watch it. Thulsa Doom.
No, he did. You said that. And I was like, I know that word from somewhere. It's in my dead butt syndrome brain right now. But yeah, thank you for clarifying.
All right.
Do appreciate that. Hey, listen, remember, if you ever find yourself choking, make sure there's a governor on hand. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talkin' text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
Bon Jovi wanted dead or alive. The story of a lobster roll eating competition, dead or alive, or both, as was the case. This is happening up in New Hampshire over the weekend. New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu on hand watching yes, again, lobster roll eating competition. And Chris Sununu, he's been the governor up there since 2016. He had to spring into action when something went horribly awry. Here is the governor of New Hampshire explaining what went down.
The gentleman at the far end, who I was kind of watching, he took a pause. He was having trouble getting something down. I started saying, he's choking, and I could tell people weren't responding. So I just moved forward and immediately started to kind of give him the Heimlich. He went right back to the contest, which I couldn't believe. He ate another 7 lobster rolls after that, right down the gullet.
My counter came up to me and made a joke and was like, I bet nobody else can say that they've gotten a Heimlich from the governor before. I looked at him and was just like, That was the governor?
No, governor?
7 lobster rolls after being Heimlicked back into life from the governor of the state. That is an American hero. Not the governor, the man who went back for 7 more lobster rolls.
The New Englander, Yeah, they are good. I shovel them down constantly when I'm in Minneapolis. But the governor gave the guy 4 or 5 compressions. What is it? Work out, do a few push-ups, Gov. I mean, what do you got there? I mean, is that really? You couldn't dislodge it after 4 or 5? I guess it must have really been in there.
Oh, that kid was working hard. That thing was stuck down that gullet, as we heard. Anybody here ever had the Heimlich performed on them or performed the Heimlich on anybody else? I never have.
No.
Not sexually?
Well, that works. I mean, it's a wide. I'm casting a wide net here. What do you got?
Sure. I mean, we've done a little role playing. That's fine.
Okay.
I choke. She gives me the Heimlich. It's kind of fun.
Oh, the sexy nurse.
Yeah, all the way.
Man, I've seen it happen. I actually watched my brother give a woman a Heimlich at a restaurant. She was choking on a little salad pickle, a little gherkin, and it flew out of her mouth with an alarming alacrity. I mean, it went across the room. Whew, for real. It was like a movie scene. Fantastic. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm just going to always remember to chew a lot. Don't want to be in that situation. If water goes down the wrong pipe, I think it's the end. I'm like, I go right to Sanford, Elizabeth, and then if you put a lobster roll stuck in my throat, that's panic, man, sheer panic. And if the governor saves me, I'm not going for 7 more lobster rolls. That's just me.
Well, it was a lobster roll eating contest. Where's your competitive nature? You're a competitive guy.
I am. I think, but I'm thinking if I beat the Grim Reaper, that's enough competition for the day. That's just me.
All right, good point. Yeah,
I'm doing what I can here. It's time to look back. Oh, I'll tell you something. On this day in 1966, Muhammad Ali, in a 12-round technical knockout, retained his heavyweight championship by defeating Carl Mildenberger. Who?
Oh, mildew.
Carl Mildenberger. A man drawn to the ring because everyone kept calling him Mildewberger. You know they did, Zepp. You were right there ahead of me. He was a German heavyweight, European heavyweight champion from 1964 to 1968. Got a chance with the champ. Came up a little short. 128 of the 12th round. That's pretty damned impressive. And after the fight, Angelo Dundee, Ali's trainer, said it's a good thing he went down because he had punched Ali's liver so hard in the 10th that Ali probably wasn't going to last much longer. Carl Mildenberger, Ali said the hardest punch he ever took was in that fight.
No kidding.
Well done, Carl. You punched him in the liver.
The crowd could hit.
Apparently so. On this day in 1992, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a federal jury struck down the NFL's limited free agency system. The players had come in to this lawsuit. There were 4 major beefs with how free agency operated, and the players prevailed on 3 of their 4 complaints. Score 1 for the working man. Well, football players anyway.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. You're listening to the KQ Morning Show. Steve, Zepp, Tony, and Ryder on 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Tuesday, September the 10th. Good morning. If you're just joining us, the key word of the day is dead ass. Okay, dead ass syndrome. I'm sorry, dead butt syndrome. It's a real thing. Get up, walk around. Don't give yourself gluteal amnesia. Get up, work that ass, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, a little twerking.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it takes. Keep the blood flowing. Except, of course, Tony, who we already agreed. It's fine. He appreciates the spanking that comes with trying to wake up the dead ass, and that's a whole different. It's a whole different animal.
I like a good smack.
Yeah. Good. We call those sugar smacks here in the studio. At 7:50, we're giving away Iron Maiden tickets. Holy crap! How cool is that? And along the way, we also mentioned briefly. I do have to read a text. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talking text line. We were talking about the Heimlich maneuver, and Ken texted, "I had to give both my kids the Heimlich. My son because of a Scotch button. My daughter a hot dog, and he signed it Bad Dad Ken." I'd say that's a good dad. I think a good dad is the guy who Heimlichs both his kids at some point.
Yeah.
Don't be so hard on yourself, Ken. You did the job. Duty called and you answered the bell.
Right. It's mom's job to say, chew your food.
That's exactly right. The hot dog thing, boys. Speaking of hot dogs, I can't help but think about that little girl in Field of Dreams, and James Earl Jones passed away yesterday. The voice of everything that mattered. I mean, my God, James Earl Jones, just a commanding, booming presence in our lives for my whole life. I mean, I don't remember not knowing who that guy was with that voice. James Earl Jones gone at the age of 93. Nothing cool about that. Another thing really quickly, I want to say good morning to everybody up in Blaine, Minnesota. Happy to have you listening to the KQ Morning Show. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, Blaine. Say, it's important. We don't want to assume they know we appreciate. It's a good thing to just tip the cap on occasion. It is time, because it is Tuesday, the runt of the week. It's time to turn the fun off and get into some unfun facts. Oh boy, I got an unfun fact for us. Yeah. Anesthesia awareness. That's a real thing. People who go under anesthesia for hours at a time during surgeries, on occasion, the anesthesia actually doesn't work, meaning the body falls asleep, but the patient stays conscious. They feel every cut and shift and movement. They hear what's going on. Now, you're talking about surgeries. Many surgeries are a couple, 3-4 hours long, but think about those that are 12, 15 hours. People come out of anesthesia and say, oh, by the way, I was alert the whole time. Couldn't tell you. My body was asleep, but I was aware of what was happening. That sounds to me like literal torture. Yeah, no kidding. It happens, I'm reading here, about 1 to 2 times out of every 1,000. Oh,
that's too many.
That seems like a lot. You feel like people would be talking about it, right? I mean, you just feel like it would come up like, hey, man, I just went in for gallbladder surgery, felt everything. I'm happy to say, now I had a tendon repaired in surgery, and then I've had a few colonoscopies. That's it for me being knocked out. Happy to say that stuff works on me like a charm. I mean, I don't know that anybody ever passes out faster than this guy when they hook me up. That's how I found out I had sleep apnea. It was after surgery. The surgeon goes, oh, by the way, you might want to get yourself checked out for sleep apnea. You kept waking up. We had to keep dosing you. Oh, come on. Yeah. But you don't remember any of it? No, I don't remember anything. I didn't feel anything. We just said I kept, kind of doing that snore choke thing where I wake myself up. So oh my gosh. Then it was off to get the machine, and then more after that. Yeah, man, that is. Whew, I'm happy to say. I mean, it's bad enough when you're, like we've all had if you've ever had a root canal, they numb it, but you can still feel the pressure and stuff. It doesn't hurt, but you're aware of that. I just can't imagine that happening with, like, say, my gallbladder. No, thank you. Here's another one. I find this to be terribly unfun. When falling from extreme heights and then landing, the human body actually doesn't splat. Bodies will bounce, and it crushes multiple bones and destroys your insides in that regard. Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, it does sound about right. An unfun fact, I was in a room where a guy fell off a very high height and hit a stage and did sort of splat. He bounced, but he did kind of explode at the same time. It was a crew member at a gig I was playing in Miami. It was absolutely awful. And you can tell me it doesn't splat, but it certainly makes a mess.
Did you see it?
I had my back turned. I was walking off stage, and I heard a whole theater of people go, ah, because he was falling with the house lights up. And then I heard, I thought a piece of the PA fell onto the stage or something. I didn't realize it was a person until a few minutes later, when everybody who did see it and was traumatized came back to tell me what happened. And then we opened up some scotch.
Yes. Yeah, that helped. I mean, a little medicine for the brain. Yeah,
that's exactly what it was. CPR. I'm sure we all, in our minds, there's two things we know we can do. First, land an airliner if need be. And second, we can perform CPR if need be and save somebody. Apparently, outside of hospital environments, CPR works less than 10% of the time. Oh, well, it gives you something to do, Man, I know for a fact. Most people are like, "What's that song? What's the song they say to think in your head? It's the perfect pace." The Bee Gees, "Staying Alive." Yeah. Do you think the average person can actually remember the tempo of that song when under the gun and when you're like, I have to save this person's life? You're going to be the adrenaline. You're going to be Metallica-ing that thing. You're going to be like, yeah. I mean, come on. If you can lay down a steady beat like "Staying Alive" while trying to save someone's life, that's a master living right there.
That sounds like a good mashup right there.
I'm sure someone's already done it. I'm sure we can find it. In 1933, a doctor named Carl Tanzler raided the tomb of a female patient with whom he had become obsessed. The man had a patient. He was obsessed with her. She died, and after burial, he went and took her corpse, brought it home, and lived with this corpse for 7 years.
Who says romance is dead?
As the body was decomposing and falling apart, he would put bones together. He would reconnect things with wire and coat hangers. He fitted the face with glass eyes, and he was caught. Only caught after 7 years because someone saw him through an open window dancing with the corpse.
I love this guy.
Yeah. Carl Tanzler.
I mean, he's who you want to have over for Shocktober, right? And bring that cute girlfriend of yours.
There's a punk band name in there somewhere, like Tanzler's Tomb or Tanzler's Girl, something. Somebody's going to come up with that one. And then, what's the name mean? Just Google it. That's what I'd say if I was in that band. Just Google it. How about this? The Romans, back in the days of the Roman Empire, the Romans used toothpaste. They had a product to clean the teeth. And what that product was made of was exclusively crushed mouse brains.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something like mercury. That really gets the job done.
Nope.
Wow.
How do you discover that as being effective? How many other things did they try first?
A dare.
Yeah. Or just you're drunk on wine and you think it's funny to say, and next thing you know, everybody's grabbing mice and getting that stuff in there. Ugh, that's awful. It's absolutely awful. Here's a good one. According to the FDA, their regulations, they do allow for up to 35 fruit fly eggs per every 8 ounce of raisins sold.
That sounds about right. That's what you get for eating raisins.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. 35 fruit fly eggs. 36? No, we got a problem. 35? Go ahead. Put it on the shelf.
Oh, another tough day of counting fruit fly eggs. It reminds me of my brother. Here's an unfun fact. His job at the pork plant, that's why he doesn't eat hot dogs anymore, but his job at the pork plant was to pull the tapeworms out of the guts. So the guts would come down. They use that gut casing, the intestine casing. I don't know if they use that anymore, but on your brats and your good stuff. Anyway, he'd come home all yellow. I'm like, why are you yellow? He goes, that's just like tapeworm goo. Yeah, tapeworm.
Brian, it's unfun facts, not fun facts. Tapeworm goo. Oh my God!
That's a punk band name.
That is a punk. That's a good punk band name. You're exactly right. If a person is drowned and they stay underwater with no air, the body fat in that drowned person will turn into a soapy substance, a soap-like substance. I don't know what that's good for, but it doesn't sound fun.
No.
Ice machines in restaurants or convenience stores, you get that good crushed ice, that good nugget ice you love, are very rarely cleaned. And most of those machines, there is a part called a slime guard. And the word on the street is, if you ever go into an ice machine and take a look at that slime guard, you'll probably never get ice from one of those again.
Oh man, don't ever work at a pork plant or look in an ice machine, man.
Or bring ice to the pork plant, and no, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that.
Oh, the ice machine at the pork plant. No,
I still can't get over yellowish tapeworm goo on your brother's skin. That's just upsetting to me. Final unfun fact for the day: when a male lion takes over a pride, he executes all of the cubs.
Yeah, I've seen that on Nat Geo.
Yeah. He's like, no, this is my world, and all these cubs that I didn't sire, they're dead to me. Literally. That's
like
a rough one.
Dad. Yeah,
that's a rough one.
It's a jungle out there.
And I think that in large part is why when Dan Campbell was hired for the Detroit Lions, he went on such a bender. He just wanted to let everybody know. He wanted to let everybody know, I am running this pride now.
Is that why his nose is so red?
That's exactly why.
I was watching football the other night with someone who doesn't watch football at all, and they're like, who's that guy? That's why that's Dan Campbell. That's the head coach for the Detroit Lions. He's a drunk. I'm like, well, I mean, he might not be. But they said, no, look at his nose. But I mean, he doesn't come off as a drinker. Man, seems like a sober dude.
Seems he's
drunk on winning.
That's exactly what he is. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ talking text line. Speaking of the unfun fact that some people are alert while anesthetized, a couple of texts have come in. One said, I had 10 biopsies on each lung and woke up for my left lung and felt every one of them.
Ow.
Oh my God.
Here's another text. I woke up during my knee replacement. I could hear some pounding on metal, opened my eyes. The anesthesiologist said hi and then turned up the juice to put me back to sleep. Baby.
Yeah.
Man, there's nothing more unfun than waking up while being surgically repaired, I would have to imagine.
I know, they say
maybe that's just me.
Surgery is, we always think of it as such a delicate thing. They're going into the body, even when they're working on the bones, it's it's not delicate at all. And if you've ever been around for a C-section, I've witnessed a couple of those. That's a violent procedure right there. They put like a shoehorn under the woman's rib cage and they were lifting her body off of the mat. I was like, holy God almighty. But if you just like to sit around on YouTube surgery videos like you do, between football seasons, when they get into that bone stuff, they're like carpenters with hammers and mallets.
Yeah,
crushing things.
Yeah, they'll put it all back in. They'll just shove it back into place. It'll heal up. No big deal. I gotta say, we mentioned earlier on the show, we were talking about the Heimlich maneuver. Anybody that's ever had or given the Heimlich, anybody ever been rescued? Have you ever rescued anybody? And I ask because we've got a heck of a rescue story to share with you. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talkin' text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Tuesday, September the 10th. If you find yourself in a traffic accident, if you crash your car, you really want to make sure the right people are nearby when that happens. By which I mean maybe a good Samaritan or two. In Roseville yesterday, a pretty remarkable thing happened when a guy driving in a car by himself wiped out. And good Samaritans for sure. Here's a bit of a story from Fox 9. Check this out.
It could have been catastrophic if we didn't stop.
I think it could have been a fatality, for sure.
Good Samaritans Terry Maynard and Joe Wold put their lives on the line to save a stranger trapped inside a burning car Monday morning. We just went to work, so I grabbed the fire extinguisher and went as close as I could to the engine compartment to knock those flames down as best I could to hopefully buy them some time to get that door open and get that driver out. It was incredible to me how quickly that escalated with those flames. As quickly as I saw that car go up, and that could have been a very bad situation.
Man, the car fire is so hot. I mean, I've driven past cars on the side of the road on fire. It's really unimaginable that somebody would run up to a burning car and try to save someone. I guess in the moment, you don't think about it. You just do what needs to be done. But cheers to these two guys. They ended up breaking through the windows with like a crowbar, and they did pull out a 22-year-old driver. He was conscious, but wasn't able to speak. He was pretty much just in shock. He had crashed into a light pole. Well done, gentlemen.
Yeah, high fives all the way around. And the toxicity. I was reminded, a firefighter reminded me last night after seeing the story that not only the heat from that fire, but when you get in there, that's plastic, that's petroleum, all those things burning. And it's so toxic within like a radius of that. A lot of times they'll go in with gear on, breathing apparatus,
right?
Because it's so toxic. So to go in there just jump out of your vehicle and race down in there and start crowbarring the window and pulling people out. And literally, of course, as if Hollywood had scripted it, as soon as they get that young man out, it's engulfed in flames. Much like the one we saw in 35W in Minneapolis, what was it, a year ago, I think?
Yeah.
Some Good Samaritans pulled someone out of there. But, that takes just an extra ounce of guts to do that.
Yeah, I had one great rescue in my life, one Good Samaritan moment, and I paid dearly for it because that's just how it goes. I was walking down the street, and as I was on a crosswalk, and I saw family at the corner. And they had it was a couple, and they had two kids. One kid in a stroller, like a baby, and then there was a 4 or 5 year old kid who was in a wheelchair, and it was like a motorized wheelchair, but it had clearly all been disconnected. I don't know if these people were living on the street, but it kind of had that vibe about them. Just the look of things, they had seen better days. Is how I would describe it. And as they were tending to the baby in the stroller, the kid in the wheelchair, he started rolling down a little grade, and wasn't doing anything to stop it. And they had no idea. Their back was to him. And I saw it kind of as it was happening. And the kid was, the sidewalk he was on his way to going right out into a major street. It was in downtown Denver, like 11 years ago. And I just kind of hopped, did that little shuffle step, sped up my pace a little bit, and I just jumped, put my right arm out, and I grabbed the wheelchair as it was about to go into the street. And that's, and I stopped it, and it was heavier than I was expecting.
Yeah.
And by that point, they had turned around, and they were like, "Oh my God, thank you!" And they all, I said, "Sure, no problem. It's all good. It's all good." And I thought, man, that was awesome. I might have saved that kid's life. There were cars coming. Hey, man, I did a good thing. And I had to walk about 2 more blocks to get back to my hotel, during which time my lower back completely gave out.
Oh no!
Wow.
I wrenched my back doing it, and of course, at the moment, didn't even feel it. And within literally 30 or 40 steps, I start going like, "Oh, what's happening? What's going on?" And then by the time I got back to my hotel room, could not get out of bed the rest of the day. Could barely walk for 3 days. Awful. So to that kid, hey, I hope you're happy, because I was miserable for a few days after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man.
Well, yeah.
No, I was going to say, any rescues in your day? Anybody? Have you ever been rescued or rescuing anybody else?
Nope.
I've been rescued by my mom. Cookie saved me from drowning. When I was like 2 or 3, I fell into Naomi and Harry Berger's pool, or I jumped in, actually. And no one was paying attention. They were having a party, barbecue, and she leaped in to save me, and she can't swim. Cookie can't swim.
Gosh.
Well,
sure.
Moms don't care about that.
Yeah, the mom's superhuman strength took over, and I can still picture what it looked like rolling around in the water underneath, just swirling and going deeper. Yeah.
Wow. When she pulled you out, did you say, "I was so close"? Why did you do that? Was it that?
Said, "What took you so long?"
Wow. Cookie, right on.
To the rescue.
Yeah, that's pretty strong. That must have been absolutely terrifying for someone who can't swim to jump into the pool. I know she didn't care. So mom's, she's a mom doing what moms do, but my gosh, what a thing to think back on.
Yeah. Afterwards, she's like, what the hell did I do? How did I do that?
And then did you guys sign up for swim lessons and learn together how to swim? Like it was just like an after-school special?
Yeah, it was a punishment.
That's pretty
naked.
I did that all the time, though. As a kid, I was drawn to. I would jump into the water, even with my clothes on.
Not so much now, though.
No, now it's totally nude when I leap in.
I tell you, man, Tony was. I love. Now that gives me 2 things. I love all the streaking; it just cracks me up to no end. And then now, not only would you then, you love to be on land nude, you also love to be in the water fully clothed.
Yes.
That's fascinating.
Really bizarre.
You're not getting on the spaceship with us, man. I don't know what you're going to do up there.
Man, that is
floating around naked.
Well, speaking of rescues, those 2 astronauts that will not be coming back down to Earth until February, still up there at the old International Space Station. This is the most bizarre thing ever. If you want to rescue somebody in space, why don't you just get an elevator together? Yeah, no,
sure.
I'm telling you this. There are people at NASA and different people in the scientific community who say the technology exists. We can think about putting together a space elevator.
All right.
It just absolutely makes, one plan, you use a spacecraft to carry a spool of this ribbon, like a cable or a ribbon, or like a vertical railway up and down on a cable from Earth to literally up to space. And the spool would deploy downward by gravity. It would be anchored in the Pacific Ocean. I mean, I'm reading this, and I understand what all these words mean individually, but this is the most insane thing ever. And there's a company in Japan that is developing. They're saying, no, we're ready to start trying to put this together. But what's missing, according to NASA, there's only two things missing: a will to do it and funding.
Oh, that's some sucker to get on it? Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck getting the funding for an elevator to space.
How about a giant ladder?
Yeah.
That's a commitment.
Stairway to heaven.
Out of a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Unbelievable, man. That's exactly what that sounds like. But hey, as long as I don't think they're going to have that in place by February. So these guys are still going to have to go with the old, wait for the rocket to go up and take them home. I do still love the idea of we're going up there for 8 days and it turns into 8 months. It's like Gilligan's Island in space.
I wonder if they get space pay. Like you get combat pay. If you're in the military, I wonder if you get, added space pay when you're up there. Maybe they're just raking it in,
I would hope so. There's got to, if nothing else, there's got to be a little bonus. I mean, if not overtime pay, then give them something. Yeah. Don't just give them a hearty slap on the back when they return.
Got to be getting a little chippy up there, don't you think, between those two? I mean,
can you imagine?
No.
No, we got along just fine when it was going to be 8 days. At this point, if that woman picks her teeth one more time.
Oh, the farting. Oh. They must be running out of things. Or is there a mad love affair? I don't know what the relationships are here. I'm just saying, just hypothesizing here, just a mad love affair, where you've been trapped for too long. You're on the desert island together, and then things get chippy.
I would imagine. There was a movie about that, right? Called Spaceballs?
I believe so.
There's going to be a Spaceballs 2.
Really?
Unfortunate.
Yes, they're making a sequel.
40 years later?
Unbelievable.
I just read that they're making a sequel to the Goonies now as well, like after 40 years. With the original cast. Really?
Oh, no, that never works. People don't want to see young people old in movies. No. It was like Dumb and Dumber when they finally got around to Dumb and Dumber 2 with the original cast, not that one there in the middle, but, with Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels. There they were, the same characters, the Farrelly brothers behind the camera and had written the screenplay. So there were the jokes, but they just looked old. And and they're fine actors, in a standalone movie, but not as the young characters. It just didn't. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It just didn't evolve. I didn't think. Yes, I'm applying that to Dumb and Dumber 2.
The character development really left me hanging.
Well, that's my Godfather. Remember, you guys got Godfather. I have Dumb and Dumber.
I like that. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talk and text line. We're always happy to hear from you. I have to share this text that just came in. Tony, in response to your pool story. Mm-hmm. Hi, I was in your pool earlier. I'm home now. I'm naked.
Got it.
That's pretty strong. Earlier in the show, we were talking about the fact that there are people who, upon whom anesthesia does not work. Your body goes to sleep. You stay completely awake and lucid while someone's operating on you. And a text came in from Steve. He said, "Morning, I had a brow lift and I could hear the surgery team discuss where they were going for lunch. They settled on tacos."
What the hell is a brow lift?
I'm not really sure. But I was just glad to know the answer to my first question, which is, I wonder what they went to for lunch. I'm glad to know it was tacos. Man, fantastic.
A cosmetic procedure to raise the brows. A forehead lift. Oh, I see. All right.
That's something to consider. What the hell? And maybe, you know what? Maybe we could do that for the show. We could all compare and contrast our brow work after it's all said and done.
I mean, I just keep pulling it back and putting a clothespin back on, in the back of the head. I'm shaving behind my ears now.
Another text of a rescue of sorts. We've talked about the Heimlich today. Sean, I saved my uncle from choking on a chunk of steak. We were at a bluegrass festival, and he looked at me, pointing at his throat, I a little high, so I thought he was messing with me. I started laughing at him. But then realized he was serious, so I grabbed him underneath the center of the ribcage, did what was needed. It wasn't working, so I lifted him up in the air in a mad panic, and then the steak finally dislodged.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a strong one. I mentioned earlier, I watched my brother give a woman a Heimlich. We had a restaurant. My family ran sort of weird restaurant for a little bit of time, and Doug was a waiter. I worked back in the kitchen, but he was out dealing with folks, and I actually stepped out of the kitchen for some reason. I walked into the dining room and looked across the room, and there was a woman, and she was just clearly choking, an older lady, and the people she was sitting with, they just froze. Like, nobody knew what to do. Nobody even, like, slapped her on the back. And my brother, who was like a college kid, he just ran over and just, like, lifted her out of her chair and gave her, like, 2, and I think on the third, hard, and that pickle shot. It was a little gherkin that I had placed in the salad, and it shot right out of her mouth, across the table, across the room, and she was just embarrassed more than anything. But everyone else, was a round of applause, and I was looking at my brother. I was like, dude, nice heroic moment right there. That was outstanding. And afterwards, he was like, I have no idea how I did. Why did I know to do that? I mean, he just didn't even. He was like in a blur.
Yeah.
He could barely even remember doing it.
And Steven, let's cut those gherkins in half, huh?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and slice those things.
No, we had to rethink a lot of things that day in the kitchen. Trust me.
Heimlich maneuver success rate, 86.5%.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that you were making that up.
No, I just Googled it. Just curious.
Well, so my gosh, if you're one of the 13.5 that screws it up, you got to feel pretty bad.
Yeah, what did you do wrong?
Man.
Don't thrust with your hips. That's obscene.
I was trying the Heimlich, but we were facing each other. It just didn't work well at all.
It's got here. You can Heimlich your dog if you need to.
Wasn't there a video a couple months ago? Didn't a guy Heimlich a raccoon that was choking in his backyard? Was there something like that? Or he just smacked it on the back and it dislodged whatever it was eating. I think there was actually video of a guy saving a raccoon.
It was a piece of cheese. Slapped it on the back a bunch of times under direction from all of his buddies who were standing around drinking beers.
Wow. Man, I'd love to be standing around drinking beers with my buddies and watch someone give a raccoon a life-saving slap on the back. That'd be great. I mean, that's a story that's never, ever, ever going to grow moss. It's just going to feel fresh and lively every time you tell it. Absolutely fantastic. Iron Maiden's coming to town October 22nd. Iron Maiden. If you're interested in attending that show, you might want to stay tuned. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show. Steve, Zepp, Tony, and Ryder on Minnesota's classic rock. 92 KQRS.
Number 2 cool thing when spoken by James Earl Jones. Meow, 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 meow.
There's nothing that didn't sound cooler when James Earl Jones said it. That's a fact. James Earl Jones died yesterday. Man, what a run, what a voice. Everything about that guy was cool. That's a whole Letterman bit, top 10 things that sound cooler. I remember whenever, I don't remember when it was, but I remember I've seen that over the years. It's just fantastic. It is September the 10th. We have got tickets right here for Iron Maiden, who will be playing on October 22nd at the XL Energy Center. And we would love to have two listeners call in and put themselves on the table here with a contest. And apparently, I was going to say call in at 651-989-ROCK, callers 9 and 2. And while it looks like we may already have callers on deck, but before we get to them, I do want to say, hey, what's up, Eagan, Minnesota? Good morning. I was down in Eagan with Rosemary last month. Bald Man Brewing down in Eagan. Had a fine day there. Saw the Scarlet Goodbye in the suburbs on a big brew party in the parking lot. It was great down there. Had a great time.
They always have a good time over at Eagan. Every dang time I go there. There's that brewery. There's one other one, too. I'm forgetting the name of it. But, yeah, always a good time.
All right, Eagan. Appreciate you. There it is. There's a little Eagan Shout out.
Well said.
That's what I do there. All right, we got a couple people ready to rock. Let's do it. Tony, what game are we going to entertain ourselves with today?
Well, I thought this appropriate for today. Yeah, I thought this would be cool. In essence, a delightful exercise in fill in the blank is this game. And today, because tonight we'll be treated to a pretty significant presidential candidate debate. Mm-hmm. We're going to roll out some famous quotes from politicians, and you then fill in the blank what they said.
Oh, very nice.
Yep.
I like it. All right, let's get to it then. Tony, who is contestant number one?
Number one is our buddy Petey from Minneapolis.
Petey, good morning.
Good morning.
What's give me your favorite band all time.
Well, Gorman, there's so many great bands out there. Your band, all kind. But I got to go with the ultimate AC/DC.
That'll work. All right.
And
favorite team, any sport.
I got to go with John Force Racing.
There you go.
Gotta.
Yeah.
Didn't see that one coming. All right, it's time to express yourself, even more so than you already have, sir. Good luck to you.
All righty, thanks.
All right, PD, I'm going to give you the quote. We're going to stop, and then you fill in the blank from some multiple choice, okay? Here's your first one. President Richard Nixon, November 1973, regarding Watergate. He said, "I am not a blank." Is it A, porpoise, B, a collector of porcelain figurines, or C, a crook?
I'm going to have to go with C.
You gotsta.
I'm not a crook.
I am not a crook.
He was, in fact, a collector of porcelain figurines, and that's why he didn't say that he wasn't.
Yeah, so he was a liar in that as well.
Go figure.
Number two, Petey, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR's first inaugural address during the Depression, featured this line. "Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is blank." Is it A, an outbreak of polio, B, fear itself, or C, a giant octopus?
I'm going to have to say B.
You're doing very well, PD.
Very well.
PD number three, George H.W. Bush uttered this line while accepting his party's nomination at the 1988 National Convention. "And they'll push, and I'll say no, and they'll push again, and I'll say to them, read my lips, blank. A, no unnecessary legislation. B, no new taxes. C, I am not the father."
I'm going to go with B.
Very good.
Man, strong. Petey's been paying attention.
I am not the father would have also been true, though, right?
Yes. PD number four, Ronald Reagan, June 1987, in a message to Soviet President Gorbachev, said, "Mr. Gorbachev, blank. Is it A, you look marvelous, B, tear down this wall, or C, tear down this wallpaper?"
I'm going to go with B.
Oh, boy.
And wipe that ugly spot off your head.
Man, Petey's just kicking back, got his feet up on the desk, knocking these things down like no one's business.
Nice job, Petey. Very good work. And move on to our next contestant.
Oh, that was it. 4 for 4.
Yes,
he ran
sir.
the table. Very, very nicely done.
Very
all right.
impressive.
Petey, sit tight. We're going to be back. We'll see what happens with contestant number 2. And contestant number 2 is
Bill from South St. Paul.
Bill, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Bill, give me your favorite band all time.
That'd have to be Maiden.
Nice.
Oh, really? Fair enough. All right. Favorite team, any sport?
I'm not too picky. Probably any women's beach volleyball will work, I guess.
Not too picky.
Wow.
Yes.
Man.
Anyone.
I like that. The El Salvadorians really got my attention this summer. I'll go with them. All right, Bill, you know what we're doing here. It's express yourself. Good luck to you.
All right, Big Bill. Number one, Senator Lloyd Benson, speaking to Senator Dan Quayle as the two faced off during the 1988 vice presidential debate, said, "Senator, you're no blank. Is it A, Einstein, B, Jack Kennedy, or C, authority on classic musicals?"
Jack Kennedy.
Correct.
All three answers true, but only one right.
William number 2, Bill Clinton, regarding his affair with a White House intern, said, I did not blank. Is it A, spend $1,000 at Wahlburgers? B, have sexual relations with that woman? Or C, for a minute think I would get caught?
B, sexual relations with that woman.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean,
Monica.
unless you count the cigar thing.
Bill number 3, John F. Kennedy in 1961's inaugural speech said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask blank. A, why don't we abbreviate country? B, what you can do for your country? Or C, why is it exactly that people listen to country?
It'd be B, what you can do for your country.
It would be. It would
Damn
be
straight.
B. Yes.
Piss and moan on social media?
Yes, sir. And your last one, number 4, Minnesota's own Walter Mondale, in a retort to challenger Gary Hart, referenced a popular advertising slogan in their debate. He said, when I hear your new ideas, I'm reminded of that ad, where's blank? Is it A, Waldo? B, the best place to buy a mattress? Or C, the beef?
It would have to be C, the beef.
Correct.
Bam!
Yeah.
Way to go, Bill.
Got a couple of poli-sci majors on the show today. This is great. Bill, 4 for 4. Very well played, sir. Petey, also 4 for 4, which means, gentlemen, it's time for a tiebreaker. Normally how this works, Tony will ask a question, and you'll both have a chance to answer. The person who's closest to the right answer will win the Iron Maiden tickets, and we'll ask Petey to give his answer first. So, Tony, take it away.
It all comes down to this, not political. I ask you fellas, how many times its own weight can an ant lift? How many times its own weight?
What do you think, Petey?
I'm going to say 5 times its own weight.
All right, Bill, did you hear the question?
No, you guys cut me off.
Well, you've had so much to drink already.
Right. You're preaching to the choir here. Yeah.
I had a feeling you're one of ours.
All right, Bill, how many times its own weight can an ant lift?
I'm going to say 50 times.
50. So Petey said 5, Bill said 50. Tony, what's the answer?
Wow. The correct answer, Bill, is 50.
Whoa!
Oh, kidding.
Booyah!
Wow. Yeah.
That's right.
Holy smokes.
The mighty ant.
Plus my Aunt Elaine, she's got dead ass syndrome. She doesn't, look much.
That's tough. That's tough. Petey, well played today, sir. I'm sorry you came up a little short in the tiebreaker, but we appreciate the time and the effort. Bill, my man, you have Iron Maiden tickets. XL Energy Center, October 22nd. You will have a good night, sir. Very happy to have you on the show. Thanks for playing.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Good.
Sounds good.
I'm glad it sounds good. Very important. Man, those guys have been paying attention to the news all these years.
They're good citizens.
They absolutely are. But, it's a lot of fun playing these games, as we do every day. Check this out. Game shows on television, experts say they're very good for our brains because we have to pay close attention. We process information quickly, and then we're simply recalling knowledge or problem solving. Experts are like, no, really, it's a great idea. If you put on that game show network and just give your brain a workout. Very, very good for you. I have a dear friend of mine whose son is in the mix right now, going through the process of getting on Jeopardy.
Oh, great.
And he's in his late 20s. He's still, to me, a kid. And it's not like, young person's Jeopardy. It's just full on Jeopardy. And he's already jumped through the first few hoops. And I think he's 1 or 2 steps away from, like NDA time. And but I watch Jeopardy now. I used to think I was pretty good at Jeopardy. I don't think that anymore. Let me tell you. I put on Jeopardy, and I'm on both hands after 2 rounds the number of right answers. Maybe. And when I was in my 20s, I used to feel like I could go win that thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I watch Jeopardy now. I'm flying blind. I'm clueless. It just destroys me.
Is it getting tougher, or the brain just starting to soften up a little bit? Maybe.
I think it's a little of both. I do know that they never have Beatles lyrics. I'm like, oh well, okay, they don't. Right. There's not a NCAA champions from the '80s. If they had those, I'm killing it. But otherwise,
this term for a long-handled gardening tool can also mean an immoral pleasure seeker. Ken, what's a hoe? No. Whoa. Al, what's a rake? A rake is right.
I think they were both right.
Oh man, an immoral pleasure seeker.
What is it, threesome?
I don't know.
It's fantastic. No, I really, it's bad. I watch a Celebrity Jeopardy. I'm good at because they dumb it down like crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
But man, straight up Jeopardy. If you get anybody that's made it to that show is to me, in my mind, already just like, oh, you're just way too impressive. Get over yourself.
Yeah, no kidding. I think the last time I watched that, Alex Trebek was alive and his mustache was still dark.
Damn. Wow.
I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, I don't think in the 2000s I've watched it.
That's really that long ago.
That's why my brain's so soft.
Jeez. That's amazing. We've been talking on the show today a lot. Two things, really. There was a Heimlich maneuver story, and then it turned into anesthesia. A lot of people apparently have stories about being under anesthesia but being alert. Like your body is shut down, but you're still aware of everything. Here's another text, 651-989-ROCK, the KQ Talking text line. Fell off a roof and had to have ankle and heel screwed and plated back together. Oh. I could hear all the drilling and sawing, etc.
Man.
When I came to, they said, you have quite the vocabulary.
Right.
Yeah,
he said, maybe because I could feel and hear everything but couldn't do anything. That to me is like torture. You feel and hear everything that's happening, but because your body has responded to the anesthesia, you can't move, you can't speak, you can't flinch, nothing. Whew.
Metallica's song One, about that soldier, remember the video? He was just like completely out of it, but he could hear and feel everything, but he was comatose otherwise. Yeah, that's a big nightmare.
That is as much of a nightmare as I think we have, if you will. If you are one of the 1 or 2% of people who anesthesia doesn't seem to work on, please, I want to hear all about it. 651-989-ROCK. That is the KQ Talking text line. We're having fun. It's Heimlich maneuvers and false anesthesia morning. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talking text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Tuesday, September the 10th. Oh, my goodness. We mentioned earlier in the show that a small percentage of people, when they go under anesthesia, are alert and mentally aware and know what's happening. And apparently all of those people are listening to the show this morning because, man, we are getting texts and phone calls with people sharing stories. Do we still have a caller on hold right now?
Yeah, Tom from New Brighton should be there. Hey, Tom.
Tom, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
What do you got for us, brother?
Well, this is kind of crazy. About 20 years ago, I had LASIK, eye correction deal, and I'm Irish descent, and redheads anesthesia takes longer to kind of kick in. Happens at the dentist, whatever.
Really?
And I had LASIK eye surgery, and they give you a pill, and that's it. They send me in, and when they did my LASIK, the anesthesia was not working. It was the worst. Not to joke, I think the only thing laying on the table was the back of my head, and them nurses were screaming at me to sit still. The big machine was making big noises, trying to not whatever. But my eyes are okay. But that was probably the most extreme thing I've ever been through.
Oh my!
Holy smokes! I don't know how I've never heard that redheads. It takes longer for redheads for the anesthesia to kick in. I don't think I've ever heard that fact.
Yeah, that's why they're so crazy.
Well, I'm Irish descent. I'm telling you, it's a thing. You go to the dentist and they start grinding away, and it's like, no. You got to put more in or wait longer.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I am also of Irish descent, and same thing at the dentist. When they think it's time to start, I'm always like, no, I need more or just more time. Really? It always takes forever, and then it takes forever to wear off. I have way more than most people, so maybe that's the curse of the Irish. And here I thought it was, the micro penis. So I'm sorry, the drinking,
Yeah, maybe they're using the wrong anesthesia. Maybe some Jameson will get the job done.
Yeah,
Teeling.
I'm only half Irish, if that's the case.
Right on. Well, thanks for the call, man. I'm glad the eyes work, although I can't imagine it felt like that was worth it as it was happening. Here's a text on the KQ Talking text line. I had to get intubated because my airway was blocked. It was caused by sepsis. They put me out, or they thought they did. I was fully paralyzed, but fully awake. I could not let them know that I was awake. I heard my mother's voice, who had passed away 2 years earlier, telling me to stay calm. I fully believe she was there with me.
Oh, that's
man.
Crazy.
Oh, my goodness. I am really,
Why didn't she talk to the doctor then? I mean, why didn't she, instead of saying stay calm, why didn't she just jump into the doctor's head and say, hey, dude's not out. He can feel this crap. I mean, while she's there, come on, Ma.
Yeah, haunt the doctor.
Yeah.
That's my child you're not knocking out.
Yes.
Here's another one on the KQ Talking text line. I had a filling, drilled and filled, anesthesia, didn't work at all. The dentist told me, well, there's nothing I can do about it now. I can't stop.
Yeah, you can. Just stop.
Just stop. Also, I had a colonoscopy, and I asked the nurse what took so long, and she said, how do you know you were asleep? I said, I wasn't sleeping at all. Oh. She said, no, you were snoring, but the truth is I remembered every bit of it.
Wow. Well, I don't know. Some people might enjoy that.
Every glorious minute.
Man.
Oh, God, I know. I did do one time without they don't knock you out. Mm-hmm. But it was only halfway. It was a half colonoscopy. What do they call it? An endoscopy or something like that?
Endoscopy, yeah.
Endoscopy, right in the back endoscopy. And uncomfortable. Not cool at all. I much prefer to be knocked out.
My buttocks?
Yeah.
I'm just
maybe
thinking
a pinky finger or something.
Nothing to do with anesthesia here, but I know a former doctor that I used to go see, just a GP, worked at a clinic, and he would perform vasectomies, including the one on himself.
Yes, I've heard of that. A couple of people have done that. Yeah, doctors or something like that.
Use a little mirror.
He had another doctor just be there in case to assist, but he said, yeah, man, I've just done so many of these. I figured, well, what the heck? I'll just see if I can do this to myself. And he did. And apparently without any complications.
I can't trim my eyebrows properly in the mirror. It's backwards. I end up, taking a divot out of my eyebrows. This guy's going downstairs. The coin purse, cutting in with a scalpel, I think is how they do it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I couldn't possibly do that. I have a hard enough time like clipping my fingernails.
Yeah,
it's just I'm not going. And there's a vast difference between that and a vasectomy. See what I did there? Here's one. I was having arm surgery to move around a nerve running through my elbow. When they put me under, I was dreaming that I was playing with dogs in a park. I had a toy in my hand. A yellow lab was tugging on the toy, tug of war style. I opened my eyes. The surgeon had my arm extended off the table, yanking my nerve and ligaments into place. I didn't feel panicked at all. I looked to the anesthesiologist. She made a comment and then put me under again. It didn't hurt, and I trusted the people around me. So as the doctor was jerking this guy's arm around to put the nerve and ligaments back into place, he was dreaming that he was playing tug of war with a dog.
Well, cool? I mean, yeah, that's cool.
Palatable.
Right, exactly.
Wow.
Dang.
Man, that is that reminds me of all those times as a much younger man. I would be dreaming in a drunken stupor that I was urinating, and then I'd wake up and go, "Oh no!"
Yes.
Jump up and run to the bathroom.
I had one of those roommates. Yeah, caught him peeing in the towel drawer. We were in a dormitory in a college, and we just had a big drawer there in the middle of the two desks, and we put our towels in there. And there he was. Woke up one night just to him taking a whiz in the towels.
Really?
Yeah, which means it wasn't the first time.
No, probably not.
Yeah, there was a day early on in the touring days, and the three of us in a hotel room. It was me, our guitar player, and one of the guys on the crew. And I woke up in the middle of the night to hear my guitar player screaming because the crew member was standing, not in the bathroom, but literally over my guitarist's open suitcase and just urinating into the suitcase. Full on.
Yeah. Had a smoking hot date. I took up to Lutzen one weekend and woke up to her peeing in my suitcase, just squatting right over the suitcase. Suitcase. Yeah, right.
Was she in her sleep, or was she trying to tell you something?
No, she was drunk and in her sleep. I think you're right. Maybe she was trying to tell me something. That was a bad review. Like, I'm just gonna go piss on your luggage now.
Man.
But I forgave her quickly because, like I said, smoke show for sure. But what about those people that when they do the brain surgery? I remember the guy that got to play the saxophone. He's a musician.
Sure.
And they let him play his. I can't imagine how that. But they let him play his saxophone. There was a violin guy. There was also the sax. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's many of these. Wow. I'm looking at a story actually. Let the guy play his sax during brain surgery. Just hammering out a Bob Seger tune or something. I don't know.
I think if I'm. Don't they do that because they want to make sure that they're not poking the wrong part of the brain? It's like to assure that what they're doing is not going to have any negative repercussions. It's like, hey, as long as you can still do this, then we're in the right noodle of your brain. As long as you're still able to play the violin. Oh man, I guess that's a better option. I mean, if they said to me like, listen, you're going to have brain surgery. We need you to stay awake. So that we can make sure that you can still get up in the morning and talk about nonsense for 4 hours a day. I might just say, you know what? Don't worry about it. Let's just see what happens. Let's just see what happens.
You might be one of those people that come out with the foreign accent syndrome. A lot of those, we hear about those. The lady that came out with the Welsh. You've got accents that are second nature to you anyway.
That would be pretty good. I honestly, like, of all the downside things. I mean, you hear about you get into surgery, you can wake up with sepsis. You can wake up and they took the wrong hand off. Things happen. Of all the horrible side effects of a surgery gone wrong, foreign accent syndrome would actually be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Although I remember the lady that was doing she sounded Welsh. I think this is her right here. Yeah.
6 days ago, I woke up with this accent. Literally, I opened my eyes, open my mouth, and I'm Welsh. Never in my life have I been able to do an accent, and here I am rocking it. It's called foreign accent syndrome, I believe. I'm not sure when it's going to go. I don't know anything about it. I'm just raising awareness.
Yeah, sure. What you can't see in that audio on the radio is her daughter behind her just rolling her eyes, kind of like, Mom, knock it off.
Jeez,
so embarrassing.
That's the kind of thing it would take a long time before you actually believed they weren't just trying to pull your leg,
I wouldn't believe you. Yeah, you're too good at it.
You have to get in. It'd be weeks, months before you finally just go, I guess this is real. I guess this is what's happening here. I mean, you get to make up a whole new backstory. If you have foreign accent syndrome and it sounds very legit, you can go to the place. That woman could go to Wales and just completely walk up to people and go, Karen, it's been so long. And they'd look at her like, well, I'm sorry, have we met? And you just, we grew up together. Whatever, have fun with it. Oh. It's like it's like being invisible or able to fly. It's a superpower.
As long as it's Welsh. What if you came out of it with like a Canadian accent? It'd be horrible.
Not nearly as cool. That's very true.
No, sorry. No,
so you just sorry. and then but what if you came out of it? Okay, hear me. Think about it. You come out, you have a Canadian accent, and you decide to be the meanest person on earth. How odd. That would be so jarring to people. You're like, sorry, did I stomp on your foot again? And you just walk around like the biggest Canadian douchebag ever. It wouldn't take much to be the biggest Canadian douchebag ever.
No, probably not.
These are the friendliest folks on the planet, as we all know.
To a fault.
651-989-ROCK is the KQ talk and text line. If you've got if you're one of those, hey, I woke up during surgery or I remembered my surgery, we're more than happy to hear from you. But in the meantime, it is almost time for the top 5 at 9. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. You're listening to the KQ Morning Show. Steve, Zep, Tony, and Ryder. on 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Good morning for Tuesday, September the 10th. That was the Beatles with Revolution. Hey, in just a few weeks, we're heading up north. KQ up north with Hoffman Rubber Construction. October 3rd through the 6th at Cragen's Resort on Gull Lake. Join us for a broadcast of the KQ Morning Show, a karaoke party, a dinner cruise, live music, and more. Book your stay now. Go to 92KQRS.com. Sponsored by Hoffman Weber Construction and Cragen's Resort on Gull Lake. We are all looking very forward to that, to be sure. Right now, it's a little before 9, but that's okay. I'm ready. Let's do your top 5 at 9. Here are the things you need to know about. PWHL Minnesota. That's a hockey team. That's the professional women's hockey team from Minnesota.
That's a championship-winning hockey team.
Last year, they were the champs in the inaugural season for the league. They now have an official team nickname. They will forever now be known as the Minnesota Frost, named after legendary news journalist David Frost.
Right. Yeah, it's almost that lame. I mean, it's kind of a cute name, but it's a hockey team, and these athletes are champs. I feel like we could, come up with something a little edgier. Frostbite, maybe. Or
how about the Flaming Frost?
Flaming Frost.
The duality in those two words together. The Fightin' Frost. The Minnesota Fightin' Frost. That's just the Frost. Yeah. Well, they put the F back in Frost. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say with it. But, it makes sense. And by the way, if you do roll your eyes, trust me, it's the best name in the league. The other teams have all unveiled their nicknames. The Boston Fleet. Fleet? Really? Just a bunch of... go with Armada. That's a little tougher. The Montreal Victory. The New York Sirens. Now, is this like the siren call, the siren song from the Odyssey, or is this just like a police siren that keeps you awake all night in New York City? What are they going with there? Is it both?
No.
I'm not really sure I guess we're going to have to wait and see what the logo is. The Ottawa Charge? The Toronto Scepters.
Scepters? No, I don't like
Scepter.
That. Better than the Windsor Swastikas. Is that it? Yeah. The hockey team in Windsor, Nova Scotia in the early 1900s, the Windsor Swastikas.
Really?
Oh, they had a big swastika on the front of their jersey. Well, it was the early aughts.
At the time, yeah.
Sure,
right, exactly.
It had a very, very different connotation.
Yeah, psychos hadn't got their hands on it yet, but the Windsor Swastikas.
That's amazing. I've never heard of that, and I of course imagine that was something you just made up, and I was wrong. But anyway, but hey, they are champs, as we said. Season begins a little later this year, and it's exciting. What are you going to do? Go see some women's hockey. Number 4 on your top 5 at 9. According to the Mayo Clinic, dead butt syndrome is a real thing.
Yeah,
a potentially debilitating condition. Technically, it's actually called gluteal amnesia, as in the gluteus maximus, one of the biggest muscles. You're basically, we're talking about your ass. It can, if you have inactivity, the muscles in your rear can become so weak they kind of forget how to function. And sluggish glutes results in other muscles and joints, lower back, knees, picking up the slack, and then it's like a bunch of dominoes falling. Suddenly you've got aches and pains everywhere in your body. So don't let your ass fall asleep, for crying out loud. Get up, move around, walk. If you have a job where you sit all day long, you really got to remember to get up and move as often as you possibly can.
That was something for the couples, maybe, as we transition out of tick check season, which is always a lot of fun, I think, spending time in the outdoors with your significant other and coming home for that fun tick check. Maybe we go with, during the winter, the lazy ass months, we go with the butt rubs. Let's start giving each other some nice, long, deep tissue butt rubs.
Here's something they say. This is from the Mayo Clinic. Again, if you regularly sit for more than 2 to 3 hours at a stretch, you've probably experienced some degree on this. Here's the simplest test. You stand on one leg, letting the other leg dangle. Your glute on the dangling side will feel soft. Now, Put weight on that leg and squeeze the cheek hard. If your glute is weak, you may need to squeeze a few times before you feel it fire back up. So that's something we can all do during the next set of commercials. What do you say?
Fire up those glutes.
Man. Here's another one, number 3 on your top 5 at 9. Heart canceled their North American tour this year. Ann Wilson underwent some treatments for cancer. She is apparently on the mend. They have announced new dates for early 2025 to make up for the ones they missed. However, they are not going to be making up the date they had at the Grand Casino Hickley. Heart is not coming to this area. They'll be in Winnipeg and Milwaukee in March. That's the 2 closest I see. No Minnesota play yet for Heart. I don't know what we did to offend them, but on behalf of the Gopher State, I'd like to apologize.
Maybe she just wants to make sure she has her A game. That's how much she loves Minnesota. The Wilson sisters have been visiting here for a long time. One of my favorite gigs they did here. What was the home shopping channel down in Eden Prairie? I forget what the QVC was. It one of those?
Okay.
And they came in and they released a bath set. No, it was like an acoustic album set along with some soaps. I'm not even kidding around here. And they came in studio to play all these acoustic songs, and Sid the Kid and I went down there, and they said, you want to sit in the studio audience? I said, what, like 5 feet away from Ann and Nancy Wilson while they crank out acoustic tunes in this little studio audience thing? It was great. But yeah, Heart comes here. I bet they'll be back around.
They'll be back around. Winnipeg, if you're looking for a reason to go to Winnipeg in March, go see Heart. I played a gig in Winnipeg opening for Heart in 1990, and I flew in, and at Canadian customs immigration, like getting through passport control, it's the first time I ever had a guy try, like what's in it. He goes, if I search through your suitcase, will I find anything you don't want me to find? That's how he was talking to me.
Asinine question is that.
I looked at him and I go, I don't care there's nothing in there I'm worried about. And he goes, okay. And he opens up my suitcase. He pulls up my DOP kit. This dude literally took the top off my toothpaste and squeezed all of the toothpaste out onto the desk.
What a jerk.
And I said,
so much for the nice people up there.
I said, so what's going on? He goes, I got to make sure that's actually toothpaste. And then I had a VHS tape in my suitcase that said very clearly The Simpsons. Because back in the day, you want to get on the bus, you got a VCR, you have to have people tape shows for you.
Yeah.
And so my buddy had given us a tape. It was like 4 hours or 6 hours of Simpsons episodes. Awesome. It was like, awesome. This will be great. The guy looks at me and goes, to your point, Zep, he goes, what's on this tape? Is this porn? And I went, is it porn? I said, no, it's The Simpsons. He goes, is The Simpsons porn?
Oh, my God.
And I said, it's a cartoon. It's an animated show. And the guy literally looked at me and goes, animated porn?
All right.
I said, man, I don't know what to tell you. If you want it, take it. I don't care. It's a show we were going to watch on the bus. It went on like that for 10 minutes. And then he finally said, okay, welcome to Canada. I'm like, yeah, great to be here.
Sorry you're from Canada, sir. I don't think if you have an IQ lower than a moose, you should be put into a position where you have to communicate with outsiders. You know what I'm saying?
I'm backing that plan. That should be the there's probably a test. There's probably a way to see if you are in fact smarter than a moose. It wouldn't be that hard to figure that out, I guess.
He goes out and licks cars after he gets off work.
Car liquor. Number 2 on your top 5 at 9. We've all eaten pizza long after it's taken out of the oven. Pizza's the ultimate lay it around and then the next day pick it up and goes, you think this is still good? Yeah, maybe. A food safety expert at Michigan State has done some testing with pizza. They took 3 identical pizzas and they wanted to simulate real world conditions to see, what actually happens to your pizza if you leave it out. One pizza was placed right into the refrigerator, not touched at all. And then days later, it was still fine. The next pizza was taken out. A little bit of it was eaten, and then it was left on the side in the counter for 2 hours and then put into a fridge. The third pizza was just left on the counter for hours and hours and hours. Yeah. And here's ultimately, after all this work, here's what it comes down to. You can pretty much eat pizza for up to a day. Go for it. It's fine.
Yeah. definitely overnight pizza on the counter there the next morning, and I close the box,
Yeah.
It's all ready to go, and I've poisoned myself with food. I don't know how many. I'm just going to, a rough guess would be 10 times, many times. Never with pizza, though. Good old pizza.
I've when I was a student, I would regularly, on my way walking to class, be eating pizza from the night before. Never thought twice about it. Just wake up, it's still there. That's going to get me to class. That's going to help me power through. Never had a problem. The only time I did myself in once. We made sloppy joes and then left it in the pan overnight without refrigerating it. And I thought, well, if I heat it back up, it'll probably kill whatever germs are in there. That's not how that works. That's not how that works.
God, you'd think it would be though.
I know.
It?
I was very confident, and then later that night, I was very what they call pukey.
Were you bothing out of both ends? They call that bothing here in Minnesota.
No. It was just coming out the top end. Nothing on the backside.
Nasty.
Got away with one there. Hey, real quick. Good morning to everybody down in Richfield. What's happening, Richfield? Good to have you with us on the KQ Morning Show today. On a sad day, because your number one story on your top 5 at 9, James Earl Jones died yesterday. James Earl Jones, just a fixture for as long as I can remember, for longer than I can remember. He had made his mark before I came around. In his 90s, don't know what happened other than he was a very old man. The family said he died very peacefully at home. James Earl Jones, the voice of everything. Anything that guy ever had to say was worth listening to. We've got some. There's so much audio. I mean, I can listen to James Earl Jones all day long, talk about anything, read anything. I'm sure we've got a couple of great examples of that right here.
I'm sure we do.
Wow,
excited to hear it.
I was waiting. I thought there was going to be a drop or two.
I thought so too.
What?
Nothing.
Oh,
these things happen.
I've got some James Earl Jones just laying around.
Oh, man.
Must have hidden the plans in the escape pod. Send a detachment down to retrieve them. See to it personally, Commander. There'll be no one to stop us this time.
Yes, sir.
Look inside yourself, Simba. You are more than what you have become.
You must take your place in the circle of life.
How can I go back? I'm not who I used to be.
Frickin' lion cub.
Oh, come on.
I know, that's good stuff, isn't it?
Nothing the man couldn't read.
The best one was the "This is CNN" drop.
Oh,
iconic.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is CNN.
Wow. It actually makes me want to watch for 1 second.
Longing for the past. Of course, we won't mind if you look around, you'll say. It's only $20 per person. They'll pass over the money without even thinking about it. For it is money they have and peace they like.
I'm going to call my freaking dad.
Man, no kidding. It's baseball, Ray. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. But baseball has marked the time. Oh, they will definitely come. One of the more confusing movies ever. The less you think about it, the better it is. Because after a while, I like you, walked out of that theater. I think I want to have catch with my dad, too. That would be amazing. And then the next day, I'm like, wait, what happened? I'm so confused by that movie. What the hell did I just watch?
Just have yourself a good cry and, give dad a hug if you can. And on to the next James Earl Jones movie. I'm watching Thulsa Doom today. Conan the Barbarian, Arnold Schwarzenegger masterpiece. And the heavy in it, of course, is Thulsa Doom, played by the aforementioned
J.E.J.
J.E.J. There you go.
Fantastic. I'm totally digging on that, man. I'm going back to Field of Dreams. Saw it in the theater with some friends and was totally moved. And in fact, so much so that I called my brother Jim afterwards to say, like, man, have you seen Field of Dreams? I don't know. It's kind of really working me over. And this is what he said to me. Are you drunk? What's the matter with you? He goes, whatever you're on, do some more of it and hang up the phone. I was like completely sober. I'm like, no, I want to talk about Dad. He's like, yeah, whatever, man. I'm going to bed. These things happen. I gave it a shot. I did what I could.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
Top 10 things that sound cool when spoken by James Earl Jones. Here we go, number 10.
I can't believe it's not butter.
Yeah. Number 9.
Objects in mirror may be closer than they appear.
Number 8.
J-Lo in the house.
J-Lo in the house.
Yeah, that sounded cool.
Number 7.
Click here now for the hottest sex sites on the web.
Number 6.
And the Academy Award for Best Picture goes to Dude, Where's My Car?
I like that. Number 5.
You're not fully clean until you're zestfully clean.
All right, fine. Number 4.
You mean I get all these great funk classics on just one CD or cassette?
Yeah. Number 3. Well, now, wait a minute. That makes no sense at all. The number 2 cool thing when spoken by James Earl Jones.
Meow, 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 meow.
And the number 1 thing that sounds cool when spoken by James Earl Jones.
What's up?
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.